Since the beginning of human civilization, lines have been drawn, countries divided, and walls built to keep foreigners out. At the same time, people have always wanted to be on the move, changing their stars and finding greener grass on the other side. With these two things in conflict, immigrants, whether legal or illegal, are always in danger of deportation. Whether the reasons for deportation are valid or not, sometimes they can be just downright weird. Curious to hear why people have been kicked out of a country? Well, I'm Mike with List 25, and here are 25 bizarre reasons people have been deported. In 2013, Kuwait did a major crackdown on their expatriate population by deporting any of them caught speeding. Not only that, but driving without a license, using their cars for paying passengers, or jumping a red light got them booted out of the country without a court order. In total, they deported 1,258 people for traffic violations.
24.
A British woman entering Sri Lanka was immediately detained when authorities took offense to her tattoo with a picture of Buddha. She was arrested at their main airport and appeared before a magistrate. Without saying what charges were being brought against her, they ordered her deportation.
23.
A man who wanted to tour the American South and play gigs with his guitar, following in the footsteps of Johnny Cash and Elvis, was detained at customs, aggressively questioned, threatened with jail time, and body searched. Eventually, they didn't allow him to enter the United States for legal business reasons and sent him back to Europe.
22.
An immigrant from Chile flew to Los Angeles to meet up with her long-distance boyfriend, but she never made it through customs. Flagged for multiple trips into the United States, she was thoroughly questioned, and her wallet, cell phone, emails, and photos were searched. Then they asked her if she had ever smoked weed. She said she had in Colorado once, which was enough for them to detain her for 15 hours before flying her back to Chile.
21.
While driving his 13-year-old daughter to school, Romulo Avelicia Gonzalez was pulled over by ICE agents and arrested for being an undocumented immigrant. He would routinely take her to school before going to work at a restaurant. He'd been living in the United States for 25 years.
20.
Juan Gutierrez Castañeda went to the courthouse to pay overdue fines for a few driving infractions, one of which was not having auto insurance. When he arrived, immigration authorities detained him, and he faced deportation.
19.
Chao Huasheng, a young Chinese woman studying in Dublin, was shopping in Belfast when she was detained and threatened with deportation. Her visa had expired, and she was trying to negotiate an extension before they threw her in jail. At the time of reporting, her court hearings were still underway.
18.
Bogani Radebe, a South African native, came to the United States to seek an education and went to Edmonds Community College in Seattle, Washington. When Radebe invited a 17-year-old girl to his dorm room, he asked if he could kiss her, and she agreed. But later, she accused him of sexual assault. Due to the accusation, Radebe was expelled, removed from his dorm, and deported back to South Africa.
17.
At age 15, Jose Escobar immigrated legally to the United States from El Salvador with his mother. They were issued protective status. Years later, when his mother made a paperwork error, the protection lapsed and Escobar was ordered to be deported when he checked in with ICE.
16.
Accused of voter fraud, Margarita Fitzpatrick, a grandmother living in Lawrence, Kansas, was put on a plane to go back to Peru. She had been fighting court battles for 10 years to drop the case against her. Admitting to casting 2 ballots, Fitzpatrick said she was misled at the time. When she went to apply for U.S. citizenship, she admitted to voting without citizenship, and immigration officers worked to have her deported.
15.
After returning from a 5-month trip to Guatemala with her grandfather, 4-year-old Emily Ruiz was detained at Dulles International Airport upon her return to the United States. Immigration officials stopped her grandfather from entering the country, leaving Ruiz in a predicament because both her parents were legal immigrants, but she is a U.S. citizen. So she was deported back to Guatemala with her grandfather. Eventually, she returned and reunited with her parents at Kennedy International Airport.
14.
A Mexican native who immigrated to the United States in 1998 was almost deported before his lawyer convinced ICE agents to be lenient. They agreed and gave the man a driver's license, social security number, and a work permit. The man put down roots and worked for 20 years in the States. Part of the condition was that he had to check in with ICE every year. When he checked in with ICE, they detained him and deported him due to Trump's new immigration policies. To make matters worse, his wife voted for Trump, thinking her husband was safe.
13.
When 22-year-old Daniela Vargas spoke about her fears of deportation at a news conference in Jackson, Mississippi, the last thing she probably expected was to be detained almost immediately by ICE. But that's exactly what happened. She came to the States when she was 7, putting her under the protection of the Deferred Action of Childhood Arrivals.
12.
Originally from Honduras, Nixon Arias worked landscaping in the United States for years before falling off his lawnmower and hurting his back. Getting workers' compensation, he was about to get a procedure to help his chronic pain. However, the insurance company discovered he used a fake social security number and denied his claim. Soon after, he was detained for insurance fraud and spent a year and a half in jail before being deported.
11.
Born Shin Song-hyuk, Adam Krasper came to the United States from Seoul at the age of 3 after he was abandoned by his parents. Raised in a couple of severely abusive foster homes, he didn't have the best childhood. Eventually, he found his way, got a full-time job, and started to raise a family. However, his foster parents never bothered to get him U.S. citizenship, and eventually immigration authorities came for him. At the time of reporting, he was facing his first deportation hearing.
10.
Betty Lopez was taken from her family in Texas when it was discovered she was in the country illegally. Despite being pregnant and her entire family being U.S. citizens, immigration authorities still detained and deported her back to Mexico.
9.
19-year-old Luis Alberto Delgado, a U.S. citizen, was pulled over at a traffic stop. He carried his birth certificate, social security card, and Texas ID. It still wasn't enough to convince authorities he belonged in the U.S. He was taken to the Border Patrol for further questioning and coerced into signing a document that waived his rights, after which they drove him to Matamoros, Mexico, and left him there.
8.
Skyrocketing to fame after her role in the James Bond movie Tomorrow Never Dies, Michelle Yeoh later took on the role of the Myanmar democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi and got deported for it. When she flew into the city of Rangoon, she was stopped and sent back on the first flight available.
7.
Manel Fall of Senegal arrived in Pittsburgh from Paris with a fake passport. He first told authorities he was named Amadou Sek and wanted tourist status. But after immigration services did background checks, they found out he was lying and that his passport was fake. When they asked him, in French, what his real name was, he said, "It is too early for me to tell you that." The man served time in jail for 3 months before being deported, and authorities still don't understand why he lied about his identity.
6.
British teenager Thomas Strong ended up in hot water while on vacation in Turkey when he pulled his pants down in front of the statue of Mustafa Kemal Ataturk, the founder of Turkey's republic. While flashing the statue, Strong went on a tirade of abuse with a crowd of people around him. He was eventually arrested and taken to a hospital to be examined for mental health issues or intoxication. He was given a full bill of health. The judge immediately banned the teenager from Turkey for 5 years and deported him.
5.
3 men from the United Arab Emirates were at the Genadriva Heritage and Cultural Festival in Saudi Arabia when police officers arrested them for being too handsome. They were afraid female visitors would fall for them. The 3 men were immediately deported back to Abu Dhabi.
4.
Fearing persecution for being gay in his home country of Morocco, Abdurrahim's case for asylum in the United Kingdom was rejected, and he was facing deportation at the time of reporting. Homosexuality in Morocco is punishable for up to 3 years in prison.
3.
A Florida State University graduate was arrested and held at an immigration facility when she went to pay a traffic violation ticket. Her father was seeking political asylum from Colombia, but he passed away and put her status in limbo. Detained, the deportation process had begun for her while her family hired a lawyer to help her stay in the country.
2.
British singer of the band Peter and the Test Tube Babies claims he was detained for 6 hours and deported for impersonating Donald Trump. He was sent back to London. Customs officials deny the claim that it was for the impersonation, but rather because he didn't have a valid visa.
1.
Between 1838 and 1841, while only a mere teenager, Edward Jones snuck into Buckingham Palace during Queen Victoria's reign. He figured out how to get into her private apartments and steal her knickers, among many other creepy things. He was caught, of course, but to keep the royal family from embarrassment, they kept the trial a secret. Eventually, they deported him back to Australia. Enjoying our lists? Be sure to click that subscribe button in the top right corner and the notification bell so you don't miss out on new ones every Monday through Friday. Share them with friends and help us consistently conciliate curiosity. And if you want even more lists, check out these videos here or just head to our website at list25.com.